think I gotta make videos when I'm tired, because then it's so much easier to just talk. Anyway, I was rereading some of my old journals yesterday and today, and I really reminded myself about why I love writing so much and about why I think there's a magic to it. There's a magic in it. Writing is just, imagine a blank page, right? When you write, a blank page is like a portal. It can take you to other worlds. It has taken me to other worlds. And I've gotten to explore so much. Writing is magic because somehow it always manages to support me where I am. It manages to morph into what I need in the moment. Because there's so much freedom in a blank page. And sometimes, that scares people. Because too many options might make you feel like there's literally no way to choose, to make a choice. But it's not so much about choosing from an infinite number of options. That would be the logical way to do it. But it's not about logic. Your intuition instead will guide you. And as you start to write, the writing itself will guide you to where you need to go. You don't know this until the first time you feel it, until the first time you start writing without knowing where you're going and just seeing where it takes you. Most of the writing I do is actually like that. I start writing somewhere and I just see what happens. The point is to start and see what happens. And you know how many times I've been surprised by where I've ended up? So many times. And I continue to be surprised when I read back at the things that when I read the things that I've written, because I forget what I've written too. And it becomes a very joyful thing to read and remember. I love the journals I keep, and I love the writing I do, and I love the worlds. One in particular that's very special to me that I get to visit when I write. And it feels like having a magic power. If you believe in magic powers, well, this is one. It feels like one to me, and I believe that writing and stories, curating stories, crafting stories, helping other people find a way into other worlds, I think that's a magic power. And if you don't believe in magic or in magic powers, well, then I guess it's just a metaphor, I would say. But I really wish that I could communicate what it's like to feel like you're actually in a different world when you're writing. Because there's this world that I go to. I call it Eponacar Icebell. It's the 13th planet in this galaxy, which is called Alpha Tauran. And there's so many amazing creatures there. Like, the first one I ever met was a non-spinning black hole. He was very interesting. And there's so many things that I've gotten to see, like this valley of trees. I really, really, really love that one because the first time I went there, I got to be there for the ceremony of spirits, and it was amazing. I turned into a tree because that was the only way I could watch the ceremony. And then there's also this musical forest, and that one's quite wonderful as well. But most of the time, I'm on the island of Leka, and it's got so many things. It's got this waterfall that when I jump through the waterfall, I land on this rock. And the rock is part of this like high mountain that overlooks the city. And beyond the city, there's these pillars of light of all these different colors. And, I'm talking about some of the settings, but beyond the settings that I've gotten to experience, all of them have related somehow to a story that's important to me. Because when I write and when I enter this world in my writing, it always finds a way to support me where I am, to give me what I need. And sometimes that's a question to ponder. Sometimes that's an exploration of some of my thoughts or feelings or a situation that I'm going through. Sometimes it's just reminding me about things that I've forgotten. And I don't know how it manages to do that so often. But it does. It reminds me of who I am. And it reminds me of magic because I believe in magic. And sometimes I forget that I believe in magic, but it's something that is very valuable and important to me. And sometimes I need to be reconvinced of it. And writing just manages to do that. And I really wish to be able to communicate. Or not even communicate. I really wish that maybe somehow, one day, I'll be able to guide you, someone else who isn't me, into feeling this. Feeling that writing is something that can support them and that can show up in so many different ways. And that there is a world that they can go to when they write. To really, it's beyond just experimentation, though experimentation is, I think, one of the beauties of it all, because you just gotta practice and you just gotta experiment. And experiments they're lighthearted things, they're not so serious. You try, and the whole point of it is to try, whether you fail or, pass, however you define those things. As long as you try, you've succeeded. Everything is a win when the goal is when the goal is the process or the experience. So yeah, the point is, there's lots of experimenting and there's lots of practicing until you realize that there's so many tools that you have that you can try, and one of them in a particular given moment might be exactly what you need. But beyond that is just one of my favorite things when I write is that I really, 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 really feel like there's a creature that's answering me. And when I write what the creature is saying, I feel like I'm reading. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know I'm writing the words, but I feel like I'm reading them or I'm hearing them, just as if I'm having a conversation with someone else. And then it feels different in my body because I'm not looking for the words to write. I don't feel like I'm choosing them. I feel like I'm listening to what's being told to me. And I don't know if I can ever show someone how to do that. Maybe I can show that via sharing my writing where this happens so that you can really, really, really see it. I have one notebook. I think so for now. It's one of my favorites that I've ever written. It's a journal from 2 years ago. So right now it's 2025. So this was the very beginning of 2024. So that's why it's almost 2 years ago. And this book, this journal, it starts with a question. What if magic is real? That's what it starts with. And those words, they ended up being the key. They ended up being the magic that brought me back into this planet that I call Eponica Icevale and to these creatures, because as soon as I wrote that, I got an answer. That wouldn't be so much of a surprise to you, would it? That magic is real? And then I replied, well, I guess not. I mean, I used to believe in magic as a kid. I can't say that I feel entirely the same way now. I don't believe it the same way that I used to before, though I would like to. And the conversation continues. And that creature begins to show me, to prove to me that I believe in magic, that magic is real. Yeah. I don't talk about this all the time. I don't think I talk about it enough. Because it's such a big part of me. And yeah, like, I'll get lost every so often for like a whole couple months even. And I'll forget. I will really forget magical things that I've written. And the fact that I can use writing in such a way. But the thing about it is that no matter how many times I forget, I do always remember. It always finds its way back to me. And I think that's so special. I think there's lots of things like that in life. But I think, I don't know if I wish I never forgot. I don't think I do wish that. I'm sure it is exactly what it needs to be. But yeah, I can't promise that I won't forget again and then for a few months just disappear, not talk about this, or want to do something different, or feel like, I should never do this again and I should do something entirely different. But I'll be honest, I reread my own writing, I reread my own journals, and I remember. I remember writing, I remember magic. So I want to talk about it more. I want to talk about it more as much as I can, because I know some of it might make me sound a little bit crazy, because I don't believe that it's fiction. Even though some of it takes place in a different world. So, take that as you will. If it's not for you, that's okay. My brain is kind of blanking just a little bit, but I feel like I have one more thing to say. And what is that thing? I guess just, I really like talking to the camera, and I really like talking about the things I care about and the things that I believe, and I like sharing them. And also, the internet is the internet and it's public, and that scares me, kind of. And it just feels like a conflict, like a difficult choice to make between I want to share and I want to talk. And I think that some of my sharing could be helpful for at least one person out there in the world somewhere. Though I've made videos before and quite a few people have messaged me saying that, they really appreciated it for different reasons. And, I love getting those messages and those emails. And the internet is public. And I guess it's just kind of a choice of, am I willing to just deal with the people who this isn't for, the people who might write mean comments, or I don't know. I also feel like there's so much stuff on the internet and so many attempts at making everything flashier and more fast and fun, and this is different, The thing that I am good at is just mind wanderings. I just show up and I talk. Sometimes I drink tea. I hope you drink tea, just chill. But I know that, like, in our world, there's a lot of people who have lost a sense of deep time because of how fast reels move and how much we use technology. And I mean, I feel the same thing sometimes. I really don't know what to say about that besides, like, I've been trying to put my technology in the drawer so that I can hide it from myself so that I don't see it. It actually makes a big difference. But just, I feel like such a conflict between wanting to share, right? And then the internet, which is one curating, dealing with whatever, messages are going to appear and, like, choosing whether to respond or not to respond. And then also just the fact that, I don't know that I want to add a whole lot more content to the internet. I kind of do. I think it's valuable. But there really is so much. And I don't know that we really need a lot more. We need time in our lives where the physical world feels like enough fulfillment that we're not going to our screens. And I'm saying that just because I'm thinking about it for my life. I want my physical reality to feel fulfilling enough that I don't go to my screens. And also, do I really want to make my job or my work something that will be forever continuously reliant on technology and screens? Because, I mean, man, like, I don't think that's the life I want. So, I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel so attached to my technology, to my phone, to my computer, and I don't want to feel like there's no way to pause, Like, if I'm making content, or if I keep making content, then can I still pause sometimes and just disappear for 3 months? I mean, I kind of do that anyway, but I haven't, but I was kind of doing it just for fun before, and now I'm but I'm building a business and trying to figure out what public facing content to be making. And the easiest one for me is still this, but I still know me and I still just need to disappear sometimes. So I guess if you're willing to bear with me, we might just try it like that and see how it goes. Because, well, why not try? Life is long, but life is short. Ain't no harm in trying. It's not like anybody really cares what you do anyway at the end of the day. And I mean that in a good way. I mean that in like an empowering way of give things a try. So yeah. I feel conflicted. That's just all I wanted to say. And I wanted to say it because I feel like as I've been doing the work the past couple weeks with a business coach, and by weeks, I mean, I think we're on to a couple months at this point. I realize I feel myself trying to make a whole lot of polished stuff, and it doesn't feel right to me. Like, I think the work, the product should be polished. And I think the email should be polished where you receive the product and it's very nice. And, it's intentional. But me talking about it, I don't want to sound anything other than human. I just want to sound like it's a person who doesn't have everything figured out, but who has the good intentions and who's trying and who cares. And someone who does care. That's what I want it to sound like. And yeah, I feel like sometimes really polished writing doesn't get that across, but just casual me speaking to the camera does. And it's messy. Sometimes I don't want it to seem and feel messy. I want it to be perfect. I want to just show up and say all the things and have all the, big, wild energy. But sometimes I don't have that energy. Sometimes I really do, and I'm like that. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes, I don't know. I'm a human. I'm a human. I'm a human. I don't want us to forget that we're human. I don't always know what I'm doing. I don't think any of us do as much as we say we do. I'm scared of saying that I'm definitely going to do something and then not do it, but that happens. In life, sometimes things come up, but I don't want to promise too much and then not do it, because promises are important words, If words mean nothing, then that's the whole thing I'm trying to create here. It's kind of hinges on words, But I mean, words don't mean nothing. They can mean nothing. They can mean a lot, but that's to each their own. Yeah. So I guess I just want to be transparent, because me trying to make all the polished things, that doesn't work for me. It works for me when I'm just talking and just saying, like, here's what I'm worried about. Here's what I'm excited about. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I'm thinking. But also, is that too real? I don't know if it's too real, but also it's just the whole internet and the whole public thing, Like, I want the right people, the people who I can trust, to be hearing the things that I'm saying. I don't know that I want it available to literally everyone. So, to deal with that, maybe I will make something that's like Patreon, so that if you join the membership thing, which it doesn't even have to be like a lot, just like the fact that it's behind one more layer, you know, of a wall or something, so that like really random people can't get in because they're not going to make the effort to do so. Oh, that's a mosquito. Yeah. I just sit and I just talk and sometimes drink tea. And I know I made the whole Architect of Ideas YouTube channel for a while, and I'm conflicted about that too. Because I said that I wasn't going to post anything on there anymore. And I don't want to post anything on there as the Architect of Ideas, I'll tell you that much, because I don't feel like the Architect of Ideas anymore. But, you know, what if I changed the name to Curious Wandering Souls and just have the old stuff there so that people can know who I am? Because, you know, sometimes I feel like I just am not at all that me, that version of me that's in some of these videos. Sometimes I miss that version of me, but I'm always me, even if I change a bunch, and I do. And like, well, what can I say? You know, I have this thing where, you know, when I let people see me in one particular way or know one thing about me, I start worrying that they're going to expect me to act the same all the time, or to be interested about the same, you know, to be interested in the same things all the time. I just don't do that. I just change a lot. I change my mind a lot. You know, I change just, yeah, and so I think that's part of what kind of made that YouTube channel difficult, is because I do want to change a lot, when you're running a business, you have to have a brand, you got to have a theme. You don't have to, right? There's nothing like have to. But, you know, for people who don't know you, you need a like consistent message that makes sense. So I mean, I'm still figuring mine out. Maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe it'll work. Maybe I do just make a separate YouTube channel for Curious Wandering Souls and start making videos there. But I guess I kind of wanted to post this one on the old YouTube channel because I don't know. I do miss just talking about the things that I'm thinking in the whole messy way that it is. In the whole, hey, I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. I just have questions and I have experiments. And that's the best I've got. And I'm human. And I mean, I hope it feels nice that, and I hope it feels human, because I know there's so much AI right now and there's really not, you know, with whatever Nano Banana Pro that came out recently, there's not going to be any way to tell what's real and what's not real. And the only thing I can say there is that you're going to trust your intuition. You got to trust your intuition. And also you got to do research, you know, and I'm going to have no way of proving that this is real. And I don't know, I guess that's kind of unfortunate. And it's just up to you to believe me. But if you know me in real life, I know you'll believe me. And if you don't, then well, your choice. And just, I don't know. I just wish for all of us to not forget to be human, both on the internet and within our own lives, because technology makes a big impact on us, and the things that we consume, the media that we consume, and how much time we spend consuming versus creating versus experimenting versus exploring versus being curious, it makes a difference. But yeah, part of why I'm making this business or building this business, constructing this business is because even when I forget, I always come back to the fact that writing is magic. Writing has magic. And look, it can take you to different worlds, just like this drawing. And I really want to remind people of that. And I really want to remind people about the ways that they can support themselves through writing. And sometimes when like other people just can't give you what you need, you might want them to. Even you might even ask them to, or you might be scared to ask them to give you what you need. Maybe writing can do that. Trust me, I've spent so many years of my life writing, and a lot of those years it was because there were things that I couldn't talk to other people about. Not yet. But I needed somewhere to do so, and I needed, well, help, essentially, but writing was that help. So, yeah, and I believe writing can guide us back to magic, back to curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, maybe even deep time, because maybe it can be so interesting that it pulls you away from your phone. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing that has to be fixed. You show up as you are. I show up as I am. That's the promise that we can try to make. And the rest is just be open to whatever unfolds. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at my picture, my drawing. It's not about fixing anything. It's about learning to see everything differently. This world is wonderful. There's wonderful people in it. Technology is wonderful. It gives us opportunities that we never could have had without it to connect. Sometimes the technology that we think connects actually divides, because algorithms feed you more of the same exact things that you believe, and so you don't get access to all sorts of different perspectives, even though the world is a beautiful, wonderful mess of all sorts of different people and different opinions and different perspectives. And, there are so many things that exist that you probably have never thought about. And I forget about that. I forget there's things that I haven't thought, and fields I haven't come across, and perspectives that I've never heard before. Because I feel like I hear so many different things all the time that I'm like, well, maybe I must have heard it all, and I've thought so many things that maybe I must have thought it all, and it's never true. It's never true, but in the moments when I think it is, that's when I have the hardest time listening. There's something I want to talk to you about that too. Listening. My friend and I had a conversation about listening recently. And I think something that he talked about finally clicked for me, which is, my generation, which I'm Gen Z, is there's a whole lot of discussion about vulnerability, about being vulnerable and sharing your truth and sharing who you are. And people think that you got to learn how to do that, how to be your so full, authentic self and super vulnerable and just share all the things that you think and feel and, widely, publicly on the internet to your friends and to everyone. And people think that that's the main focus, that the main focus needs to be on vulnerability and learning vulnerability and being vulnerable. But what my friend said is that we've actually kind of gotten that part. A lot of people know how to share a lot, how to be vulnerable. The thing that we haven't gotten in my generation, which I'm not going to go speak for every generation, maybe, and I'm not even going to speak for everyone, just for, I guess, just this is a possible perspective that exists, which is that maybe we can do the vulnerability part, the talking about it, and what we can't do and haven't learned to do and haven't practiced is listening, is holding space for other people's vulnerability. And that one really hit me because, man, we do have the internet. We can talk a whole bunch, we can share a whole bunch of things, but really engaging with someone, really engaging with a short pile of material rather than barely engaging with a huge pile of material and content, I see it. I see it. And I do it too sometimes. And I don't want to. I want to focus on having less content, but engaging with it more, with the people more. Because we don't really, 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 really engage. We see one video, maybe we like it and save it. Sometimes the video asks us to engage and we don't. Or the post asks us to answer a question. We don't. Which you don't have to do anything that anyone says. And if you don't feel called to, it's a different story. But I have done life coaching this year. Now I'm doing business coaching and I'm learning some neurosomatics to support myself with my nervous system and just trying to do the best I can for myself. And with working with all these people, I have gotten to experience what it's like to be seen and heard and listened to. People who are grounded in who they are. So they respond, they don't react. And you can hear, it's a different silence when you're heard, when someone listens to you. And just a lot in my generation. We speak a lot. We haven't learned how to listen. We haven't learned that type of holding space for people, for friends, for family. having the space for other people's vulnerability, you know, because it might be something that is hard to hear. You know, it's hard to hear when people are going through difficult things. And sometimes vulnerability means people are sharing the difficult things that they're going through, and it can be healing to share that sort of stuff. Or to, like, you know, talk about things that you once couldn't before. But we need to learn how to listen without taking it in, taking it on, you know? I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like half of the things that I'm talking about are things that, like, I'm talking about them and I'm trying to describe them, but it's different when you feel it, when you experience it. And that's what I have been very, very, very lucky to have, which is the experience of being seen and listened to and heard by some people, and also the experience of writing and feeling like I'm reading when I'm writing, which just feels kind of wild to even say. If you know, it's, I don't know how to explain it. I want to explain it. I want to communicate it. And maybe that's what I'm going to try to figure out how to do. Because it's super, super, super amazing of an experience if you're open to it. Yeah. So, well, I guess I kind of randomly hopped on to say something, and this ended up being a video that's kind of just like a me video, the same as I used to do, not even that long ago, some months ago. And I guess I'm glad about that, because I think, yeah, the hardest thing is when I just try to pretend that, like, I know what I'm doing and I'm not going to change my mind and this is what I'm doing for sure. And then, you know, I feel better when I just exist and just say, I don't know, here's where I'm at. Which I already said that in this video, so I think we're good, and I think I gotta go to bed. So, thanks for watching. I don't necessarily think this means that I've changed my mind about posting videos on this YouTube channel, but I guess we'll see, so I'll keep you posted. Or you'll see. You'll figure it out. You'll see if I post again or not. We don't know. We don't know. Isn't life so interesting and wonderful like that? Sorry that I am inconsistent, and, you know, I don't want to be predictable. I feel some sort of danger in being predictable. So this is where we're at. And if you still want to stick around, then still stick around, because maybe something will happen. Cool. Peace. Bye.